But if they can't get into something like the execute or something like a healthy retake, that's when things look like they're trying to just go for one more duel to equal things out, buy a little more space, and ZETA's not backing down from those firefights.
Oh, ZETA does not. This new ZETA does not.
Full ults on the side of GE.
Yeah, that's something that they could definitely use.
I mean, this is one of those rounds I think you absolutely have to. You want to catch up. It's not about trading ults one way or another.
There.
And some good ults to get rid of that operator on the other side as well, if they're able to just get up to it and then pit into the site, something like that for ZETA.
At the very least, oh, what is this? Pulvy is pushing up way too far, overextended just by a second.
I mean, the push out is hard to read at that tempo from Pulvy with an operator. But I think the mistake here is ZETA, if anything, ZETA was actually prepared for more people to be pushing out. You saw that it wasn't just Huron waiting to check for that. It was multiple people, and there wasn't the backup from GE.
And that's the protocols from ZETA now.
Oh, you can't pick
know
that
to
back
hold
up
it
now.
safe. They know to watch, but Blaze King still true.
Right there.
Able to reposition just in time to get the shot, but then not expecting depth to show up from Hookah. They have the sight. Still watching out for more players, though. He tosses out a blast pack just in case.
And look at
Sky
Uran.
Smoke blocks off Benkai.
On the minimap, Uran is coming all the way back around as well. I mean, ZETA just has to stay out. There's no way. There is no way Benkai's ready for this.
No, sir. He's trying to find that opening. He's trying to wait for lightning fast, but it's not going to happen. Oh my god, aside from Uran, it's just depth in his movement and clean mechanics. One clean tap, and then lightning fast to spray through with the Phantom. 23 HP, and he's probably going to opt for the save at this point. Way too much of a tall task ahead of him.
The hold from Uran is great, because if you think that they might have somehow regrouped in defender spawn, I don't know if they had all the right ideas that lightning fast was still over by Hookah, but then you just wait for the exits, right? Because you've already spent enough time. So I like the comms, but man, that push out from Pulvy, I don't mind it as an individual move, but because ZETA was ready for it, it starts to look a little sloppy just because the backup wasn't there for trade. It wasn't a hard commit. And that's the thing. You had all ults, so obviously it's not a round where you would want to hard commit because you've got all the retake tools.
Yeah, and it's also one of those things where it's off of a ZETA timeout, so maybe they were anticipating for ZETA to do something a little bit different, and they wanted just to check, but face check is a little bit too risky.
I mean, it's always going to be risky. Here's the thing. If you're ever peeking out, it's always going to be risky. But what I want to say is the idea is good, right? It's an off timing. You got the 0 point on Hookah. You got multiple members. I don't mind it. It's just that, right, it's an operator.
Right.
It's not a jet. Sure, Raze can escape, but it takes a little bit more time. And because ZETA was ready, I'm saying it starts to look a little bit wonky. So that's credit to ZETA, but honestly, the idea, you had to throw something out there to shake things up.
It is true. Meanwhile, I mean, again, ZETA, Carlisle and Junior, they're doing a lot for this team. Trying to poke and prod this time towards Hookah. I mean, not Hookah, towards Showers, but not quite finding all too much, so regroup with Laz, and then maybe just the execute off of the toxic screen into A.
I mean, either way, they know they put some pressure down. But the thing is
Global just jiggling for info.
Yeah, and they can buy a decent amount of time here with the Gecko. But how ready are they going to be? Trailblazers are traded for that. Now a Dizzy and a Wingman still available for time. Russ is arriving. Null command at the ready.
Rotates are over. Good shot from Blaze King. What an angle. But you still have Laz kind of looking around A short. So that teleporter play is available, and it does go through. However, it's a bit of a gamble. If Benkai can hold his ground, this is going to be tough for ZETA. They've got 20 seconds left.
I mean, Laz didn't actually have control of the site. They have to push through and fight, and now with their smokes down, the mollies are coming out. They have no way to come out, and the Dizzy as well.
Oh, 10 seconds. It's not going to happen, is it? Orbital Strike, though, still committed. They want to push through. Sugar Zero getting the frag off of it. A second one in. Huron sticking the plat. And with that, 2 players left. Pulvy, he's got the showstopper, though. But here come the Seekers. Blaze King, we know where you are. Pulvy, we know where you are. Are you going to commit? He's got the judge.
They heard the classic too, so they know something's up.
Oh boy, here it comes. Opens up lamps and tries to go for even more, but Huron, what the heck is that movement? The timing on the peaks, and then Sugar Zero to hold from Showers. This is ZETA Division.
I almost would have thought that the orbital strike felt late at that point, but they wait. They wait for all the utility to come out. And guess what? I want to point to this round. These are the rounds that make a difference between a team looking too slow to lose and a team just looking like they know their exact timings, right? You wait for the rotate, and then you say that you're going to draw out all this utility, and then when it ends, you still have your ultimate, and you know that you can force it through, because that ult kind of acts like a wall that's going to protect you on that spike plant.
That is true.
I mean, I think GE probably feels a little shaken up after that previous round.
They probably weren't expecting this ZETA form. And honestly, I'm not as well. that felt really, really shaky to me. I mean, towards the end of that, you can feel the pressure running out of time, but still knowing exactly what their game plan was, sticking to it, and making it work. So I don't know what Global Esports can pull off with this timeout. They need 4 more rounds to tie things up. And I mean, just thinking about them playing on the defense, you know, with a composition like this, double initiator, clearly retakes were meant to be strong, but it's not quite happening just yet.
Well, the timeout to try to save this map, take it to overtime. The null command still sitting there for a couple of rounds now, and surely something that they have discussed. But right now, it's going to be a push out. It's been a couple of rounds since they've done this. It's an all-in from GE.
We just, okay, full commit. They did it in the first round. It kind of works for the time being. Oh, but the trade's just as good from ZETA. Russ still deep in position, able to gun down the player from the left. Tosses out a flash to try to stay alive. Rotates coming through, but it's not in time. Ben-Kai all the way from the back of Halls. Now back sight.
This is all up to Blaze King. So this was the entire idea, and ZETA is aware of this, right? They know they spent way too much time trapped up in a short. Oh, he gets one. Now he knows that they were potentially looking for the rotate. He just has to hold.
Oh, no. He did hold, but then got swung upon by SugarZero.
But look at how close Ben-Kai is. I don't know if SugarZero would have hurt him.
The timings, though. And it just goes so close to it. Ben-Kai a little bit more prepared, a little bit better and sharper. Keeps Global Esports alive for one more round.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, Ben-Kai just creeping up right close enough that it's so hard to tell. And that's good timings right on the flanks, one way or another, ping-ponging back and forth coming out from GE.
I mean, this round just came down to all these micro timings. I mean, it was an all-out brawl to start. You can feel the tension and the pressure. The fans wanting to watch Global Esports win. And with Blaze King holding up from Market, it actually happened. Now back into the next round, though, and ZETA tries to pick up the pace. A little bit more control in the showers, but congestion coming out from Global Esports as well. The teleporter play. Polvi with the double kill.
Spike down. A great read from GE. A lot of people said they're absolutely going to have the brains for VCT Pacific. And this is one of those rounds. The mollies are going to hurt.
It does flush Lightning out of position, but the main thing still is that the spike is down. You don't have showers control, but I'm a little bit curious to see what Laz's game plan is.
But looking at where those tripwires are on the minimap, I don't think there's a way for him to be able to, well, now they're spotted as well.
Ooh, whoa, okay. I guess mechanics are still just as good. Orbital to flush him out of the corner. SugarZero picks up the quad, but then what it comes down to is a Laz and Ben-Kai one-on-one.
And Laz wanted to find a timing. He eats his own teammate's orbital strike to try to come through.
Oh, Ben-Kai is just playing this so safe.
Is he going to wrap all the way around? Because that would be one way to play this round.
That would be so big brain. Ben-Kai?
30 seconds left.
Ben-Kai?
Laz is ready for this. How is he ready for this?
It just comes down to it. Whoever fires that trigger first, whoever spots each other out first, they know what each other is thinking.
He has the cam to check, but he has to stick the land.
Pressure is on Laz. 10 seconds, and the timer is counting down. 5, 4, 3, and here comes Ben-Kai with a swing, a tap to the head, a swift kill, and 12-10 Global Esports, 2 rounds away from overtime.
The craziest part is Laz suspected it, but Ben-Kai waits so long. He creeps the entire time, so Laz says, I have to plant at some point. So Laz did have a read, but what a 1v1. Ben-Kai back in his own natural habitat.
Look at him too. Oh my god. It's nice to see Benedict back in action. Now, timeout being called by Zeta Division. How do we right the ship? How do we secure that last round?
10.
Well, you had a couple rounds, right, where the aggression comes out from GE, so you gotta imagine that Zeta, their first instinct is to say, okay, slow things down, see if they push out, right? We hold the default, get ready for contact. The problem being, now that may funnel them back into their old habits, because if you're spending the first 20 seconds to not take any positions, then you're gonna have to start to creep up. And because Laz is a Cypher, it's not like he can really just dig all the way into a site and clear it out all on his own, especially when there's a Cypher on the other side. You never know where those trips are gonna be, and it's Benkai playing it as well. So, I mean, sure, they had that one rotate with their Orbital Strike and it worked out, but I don't remember the exact ult situation, but Orbital Strike was just used. So they're not going to have that for a last-minute execute.
Not to mention economy as well. And you're always thinking, you know, you only have Euron to help you initiate. So with this bit of a half buy, you really just got to
The race 18, 0 assist.
last round.
And look at GE, another shift in position. This time it's B main, and that also denies that ult door for the potential showstopper from Deb.
Well, I wouldn't mind if Zeta plays a little bit more cautiously.
Okay, last round.
Still, the positioning. Okay.
இதெல்லாம் இருக்காங்க.
Bit of info,
B,
so
B,
they are
B.
just flushing straight through hookah. Russ is ready to receive.
Appa.
Pops off the null command and just wants to stay alive. But that right up around behind from two.
correct-ஆ
And
end
then the
அடிக்கிறானுங்க.
kill from Euron. This is the site already. The retakes at this point are too slow, too late. It cannot happen on time. 5 per spin as well. Are you kidding me?
முடிச்சிட்டானுங்க. 1 versus 5.
Trying to do what he
5
can.
versus 1.
But at this point, oh my God, Will, it feels bad.
This is, again, one of those situations where GE just wanted to check a little too much. You had entire B main control, and you wanted to check in front of showers as well.
Well, Benkai's still gonna try though. Timer is ticking. HP is slowly draining and running away. And then just one bullet is all it takes. Good idea from Global Esports, but at the end, Zeta Division still, and Dep still up around and coming.
I mean, Dep, he's playing just as well as he always has. And some people might have forgotten. A lot of people seem to go back into their memory bank during the offseason and remember that he was fragging out in 2023. So it's great to see upgrades across the board for Zeta Division. I will say, GE, I mean, I think they showed enough for people to at least stop doubting them. But it's also that Zeta looks just as strong, if not better, upgraded. And now going over to Zeta's pick on Icebox next, another map where you're going to have some good ideas on how to utilize it, because it's very tough to utilize all parts of it, especially mid, even with the map changes. So the question becomes, GE, did they even suspect that the Icebox would be picked?
Oh my goodness, that is another question. And then Sunset for a decider even. I mean, if G is not prepared for Icebox, and this, you know, it's just going to be a 2-0. And it feels, emotionally speaking, very similar to yesterday's Gen G and RRQ match. But here goes, back to the desk.
Hello! We were like kind of dancing because, oh my gosh, how spicy is Pacific? It's the kickoff. It's been insane. And you know what? I really like how that was being played. Obviously, Zeta bagged that first map win, but not before Benkai had a little bit of something to say as Cypher. It was almost like that Cypher meme of them pointing at each other with Laz.
Yeah.
The Cypher moment.
They kept clashing. They were always playing around the same spot. We saw, you know, on the defending side there from Zeta, Laz trying to hold down the showers, Benkai trying to push in, trying to get control of those showers. So there's a constant back and forth there, and some nice clutches from Benkai at the end to keep Global in this one. But Zeta managing to come out on top, and this is a little bit concerning because this was, again, Global's map pick. They decided to go for this, given that it was a fairly weak map in the past for Zeta Division, but clearly work has been done. Carl Out Jr., they have been working with this team to improve this map that has been a bit of a bane for them in the past, but it still didn't have to be this damn difficult, Zeta. You didn't give up the pistol round in the first half, and somehow, while defending, they still allow for a 7-5 half to come through. Global being able to get those 5 rounds was a godsend for them, and I thought that might have ended up being their undoing here for Zeta. And Global, they did have a nice rally back. They get up to 10, but I thought that was going to be their win condition, being able to get those 5 rounds initially.
Yeah, and it's all because of how quickly Global is just able to adapt. At the first couple of rounds during the first half, they were struggling in just trying to get control in terms of the rounds, but after a few more, they start to get their groove on, and it really translated into showcasing what Polvi can do as that sole entry fragger here for Global Esports, and that's why we're seeing them be so close to ZETA in that 13-10 end.
And we can see right here, MVPs, we got the gods facing off just as we were hoping for, and Depth is just so amazing, isn't he, Achilles?
Yeah, and I mean, this is a known quantity. For me, honestly, I mean, obviously the ACS not going to reflect it fully, but Yoran was a huge factor in them being able to get those initial wins coming through. This guy was looking ever so clutch. Great moments there with the Sheriff as well from Yoran. So honestly, fantastic VCT debut for him, but Depth just continuing to frag out of control.
Now, what has been really interesting, we were talking about this in the green room just now, ZETA was infamous for being so slow, but we saw a different sort of pacing. You were talking about possibly influence from the coaching staff, changing things up for ZETA.
Yeah, I mean, for Carlisle, when you come over from a Brazilian squad, one thing that you can certainly inject into your new team is going to be some aggression, some higher tempo. And while we did see, ZETA slowing things down, especially in that last round, not the last round, but in the last few rounds where they were really taking their time, going for that push in onto the site with like 8 seconds remaining. But we were seeing a bit more ebb and flow for them. We saw that they were willing to up the aggression from time to time. And I love to see this because they were that team that just waited for 20 seconds, take the site, and then they went and tried to execute. And more often than not, especially in the LCQ, they were getting away with it, but that is not a style of play that is going to be sustainable.
Yeah. Also, one thing I just wanted to add with how ZETA has been actually playing here is more times than not, the way that they kind of look around how their rotation and their opponent's rotation have been is a lot shorter now. So you're seeing Laz looking behind where his tripwires are. He's able to time the lurks coming in from the players of Global Esports more times than them just being kind of slow to think about that or slow to rotate, which has been very helpful in the rounds that they've played.
Now, you were noting, Asteray, how Global Esports is probably going to be a bit more free-flowing in the way the team dynamic is, and it definitely seems so, but is it working?
I think it is. The big problem was, and we mentioned this literally just a couple of minutes ago, is the Benkai versus Laz. They need some extra options that they can choose to go elsewhere on the map, but because Benkai has been losing in that fight, they cannot force the issue elsewhere, so they have to commit to this fight. The problem is the setup for ZETA, whether it's on defense or attacking, has been a little bit difficult. What at least has been good for Global here, coming back to them, has been Polvi's ability to create those openings, but his teammates just can't follow the speed that he is going at it, so it creates this kind of rift where he's already there, he's creating plays, but the rest of Global are still somewhat lagging behind.
What do you make of that, Kilios?
I mean, I widely do agree. We saw just some... It's hard to say whether or not there are fantastic reads from ZETA's side or just poor decision-making from the side of Global, but, with that ebb and flow from ZETA, like, one of the rounds that we saw was they slowed things way down after playing aggressively, and then Polvi goes on an aggressive push out of B long, ends up getting caught, and that's going to be the operator down, as well as your star duelist player taken out of the fight very early. So, a couple of these moments here where they're deciding to go aggressive, take some space where they have no information as far as player placement on the side of ZETA is concerned, that's something that they need to be accountable for. So they need to make sure that they know that they're pushing into somewhere a little bit safer, and if they don't know that it's safer, they need to be a little bit faster on those reactions.
Now, the second map is going to be Icebox, and this is ZETA Division's pick, which is curious because it seems it's been a very long time since ZETA's played on Icebox.
It has been. And granted, Icebox out of the rotation does account for a large portion of this, but we haven't seen them play this map since the grand final versus Northception, where Northception bested ZETA Division to then go on to Masters Copenhagen in 2022. That was all the way back in June of that year. So we have not seen this team in a very long time playing this map. It has not necessarily been one that they tend to play on historically at all. So the fact that they are willing to go onto this map after the recent changes should allude to them having cooked something up.
Yeah.
Who's going to be cooking harder?
My guess with this one is because of the changes on Icebox, and you kind of see this a lot with a couple of teams before, the only play that you could do on mid before the changes was the rush underneath orange and then just kind of see where that takes you. But because there's a window now coming into kitchen, there's a lot, there's the changes on the orange boxes where there's only one avenue, not the two anymore on the split. There's a lot more I think that you can try to do there, and I think that's where ZETA is hoping that they can outpace Global here. That seems like what Global was doing on Bind in some of the rounds that they were successful on was getting those quick contacts on the smaller corridors. And since Icebox, even though it's a two-sided map, it's still pretty open with, again, these new changes. Something that, again, ZETA could use, but again, this is just me guessing what could happen.
This map actually falls into ZETA's older play style really well now thinking about it, because this is one of those maps where a lot of times you do see, you know, them poking and prodding and then settling on which site you want to go to. So for ZETA, who love to do that, they absolutely could just poke and prod around green, maybe even inch up towards yellow. Oh, I'm getting racy here with that one. Maybe that's a bit too much for them going that deep into a site. But you know, you can kind of just make an appearance over on this side of the map and then opt to go to the other one if you don't like what you see or what you don't see on that side. So I'm curious if that's going to be the case. We did see the fan sign there saying rush B. That isn't exactly their MO, but as we take a look at it, it's going to be the Harbor coming through.
I like this. Harbor, I think, is so underrated. I think I've said this way back, maybe in VCT Philippines, that he does the job of both Viper and the Sage because of the Cove. It gives you a little bit of that safety, even though there are the changes that happen on the B side, even before this current change. You still have to have some form of safety when you plant that spike, and if you don't have a Gecko, you need something to keep that planter safe, and the Cove is one of those abilities that just does that.
Still sticking in with the KO here for Global. It seems like they're really going to be relying on this one, so I'm curious to see if Russ is going to be able to pilot it to more success here on Icebox.
All right, let's go into the Arctic Icebox. We're going to have our casters, Quack and William. Who's it gonna be?
Thank you very much, Chubby Ninja, Asteriana, Kilios. I have no idea who it's going to be. It does feel a little bit chilly, though, because ZETA is looking cold today. But yeah, I am wondering about that KO.
Yeah, GE seems to really want to focus on the double initiators. I know we're just 2 maps in, but I get it. It does seem to suit what they want to do, right? Get the info, then go for the call, then have these set plays. That's a nice idea, but if everyone else is still going for double controllers on some of these maps, and especially a map like Icebox, curious how this attack's going to be. Because at the end of the day, you're going to need to get those frags.
And on the other hand, for ZETA, too, I mean, this composition is just what DRX did before in the past. So, going in on the defense now, already committing the high tide. It blocks off, it kind of pushes Global Esports into A, where, well, Laz is kind of hiding and waiting. The turret is up and ready. Russ is kind of tagged up by the decay of the toxic screen. But, wow, we're just setting up for retakes. We're trying to use the lineup, but it doesn't quite connect.
Yeah, very fast flank, though. Now, they were spotted. GE knows they have to push out, and Povey's going to open things up.
Okay, Povey's always good for some shots. Gets the first one, now wraps back around Screeds. He wants to hold this position, because if he does, then it holds ZETA off for just another second. Laz, though, up around
Round 1
the side. He goes back down and picks off Russ. And here comes Step from the top now. SugarZero landing some shots. A bit of a distraction. It allows for the rest of ZETA to
correct
the site. Blaze King able to get one, but not for long until Laz takes him out. ZETA with the pistol.
I mean, that hop over from Depp is one thing, but something else you're noticing here on that retake. So ZETA commits to the retake early on, obviously back out of A site. Once the flank is up, then Laz suddenly says, you know what, we don't want to push in from Rasters just yet because they're going to consider pushing out, especially once Povey gets the first kill. So he just wants to stay alive. Now it's the main force that pushes back in, makes an opening for Laz. Lots of good bouncing back and forth, and of course, clean shots from SugarZero as well. Another pistol on the board here in the very first round for ZETA.
Very nice and tempered kind of aggression. But Povey with the
Global Esports la Indiaoda ஆள் ஒருத்தர் இருக்காரு லைட்னிங் ஃபாஸ்ட்னு ஒருத்தர் ஆக்சுவலா ZETA டிவிஷன்ல வந்து மொத்தம் 5 பேருமே ஜப்பான் ஓகேங்களா குளோபல் ஈகோ ஸ்போர்ட்ஸ்ல ஒரு இந்தியன் அப்புறம் வந்துட்டு UK 1 இந்தோனேஷியா ஃபின்லாந்து சிங்கப்பூர் ஸ்குவாட்
It just makes Laz think for a second. Did they go under the 2? But, well, guess not. It's going to be Povey with a shot onto Laz instead. Clean head tap. and that weakens mid. With that now, a rotation pulled over from Hiroran, and it's going to be Global Esports slowly creeping up towards A.
Yeah, and the thing is now you don't have the killjoy either, so a lot of that retake capability of clearing out corners with something like the Nano Swarm no longer an availability.
Well, similar from before, they let them have the site. Trying to spray, but still, spike plant goes
Spike
down.
planted.
Lightning Fast is watching the flank. It's a force buy, and ZETA knows that, so the weaponry not necessarily in their favor.
Although, Polvi is still favoring this outlaw. Third shot, fourth! Goes in for the reload. A blinded Dep tries to hop over to stay alive, but then Russ just guns him down with a stinger.
4 shots, 4 kills for Polvi with the new weapon. The Outlaw doesn't need to fire twice to get a shot if it's always a headshot. Great showing from the duelist pickup for Global Esports.
Dude, that's crazy. Oh my god. Had the angle from the window?
Oh, that was okay. He was already damaged up. And that's, again, one of the strengths of the Outlaw as well. Good pot flash from Russ, too.
Can re-peek just as quick. That is lovely. As we move forward into the next round now, of course, economy for ZETA not going to look too great. Polvi just looking to sound off even more shots. A bit of information being retrieved by Blaze King, and it pushes ZETA back.
Honestly, I think this is the best gun to give off warning shots in Valorant.
Yeah.
It's very loud. The base is very deep.
And it just instills fear.
Yeah.
I mean, look at how much space they got off of that warning shot.
It's almost scarier than an operator when you just listen to it.
Welcome to the Wild West, buddy. Anyong Haseyo. Asteroid's going to appreciate that one. Anyway, toxic screen down, and it's going to be Global Esports just trying to play it safe because they know that any of these pistols could be lurking right around the corner. Benkai getting caught out by Dep. Not what you want to have happen as Dep picks up that Spectre.
Yeah, with that snake bite down, they know that Russ not quite waiting in the default position. Laz a great shot, and so is Uran. I mean, they're all peeking out at the same time. 1 shot, 1 kill.
I need to see their POV on that one.
Viper versus 1, 5 versus 1.
But a stinger, 4 barrels staring down right at him.
30 seconds left.
Goes in for a big of a quick peek, takes down the first player. Tucks back around, 20 seconds remaining, and he has to kind of either go in for, well, at this point, you just kind of got going for all the kills.
And this is one of those situations where, I mean, sure, you had 1 outlaw, but you've got these stingers in hand. And when it comes to the B site, I mean, you're not the one with the harbor.
Yeah.
The are going to be just as strong, if not stronger. The problem being, Benkai, I believe, was also picked off in the middle of the round, so not much of a chance to rotate to A. And things fall apart. They already had to commit to the plant. They fake it off the snake bite, try to draw them out into closer range, and they're just prepared. Wow. I mean, this just about shuts down everything. This is why they commit to the B side. The peaks right as the screens go down. Very well done from ZETA Division.
Does give you an idea of what both teams are capable of. Benkai sometimes looking for these lurks, but at the same time, my goodness, those peaks from ZETA Division. So eco off of ecos, we got the thrifty win right back in. And now ZETA's got the rifles, and is that an outlaw and Hiroran? It's going to be a full buy from Global Esports, though. But some half armor.
Yeah, so ZETA's trying to make this back into their bonus, right? Picking up the weapons that their opponents dropped in that last round. We'll see. I mean, because they have the capabilities.
Oh, just a bit of a swing, though.
Tagged up.
Even
Oh,
attacks, and now lightning fast. Proving that he is that dreamer from South Asia. Peeks out, picks up the triple, and all of a sudden ZETA Division are left wanting more.
And this type of turning up the tempo, this is going to benefit GE a lot, right? Because given their compositions, given their tendencies, a lot of people are going to start to assume, okay, you're going to wait to creep up, go for a set play. It's things like these deep lurks, and these other ideas, the different tempos that really start to play a macro game of Valorant against your opponents.
Yeah, because it's just like you had a bit of pressure towards B from earlier on, and then you're also always thinking Benkai might lurk around corners sometimes, and we can't just always leave Dep to deal with him. Meanwhile, on the other hand, off of the next round, Global Esports just goes in for that mid play, and that's something that ZETA, hasn't really defended all too well. Remember the previous round where Polvi picked up that quad kill. So, ZETA has a bit of thinking to do.
And And I like that Lightning Fast just commits early towards screens as well, right? Because you can't really lurk as efficiently into kitchen anymore with that window available. His team already creeping up into the site. They make the call, of course, as they're jumping in with the drone that, okay, site is empty. So Lightning Fast knows
That was John
means...
Wick behavior, okay? That was John Wick behavior.
John Wick. Oh, right. I mean, it was a Vandal. It wasn't quite a pistol that we're looking at, but it was a great lurk there. Gets the 444 himself.
Very nicely done. Now we've got Polvi on the Blade Storm. And they're looking to open things up towards A. ZETA definitely wanting to back off of this. But what's curiouser is Lightning Fast with this lurk up around Hut.
Oh, he's buying so much time in Benkai.
Oh no.
Benkai with the backup comes out from the other side of the map.
Things just start to fall apart for ZETA Division. Not getting the right reads. Peeking lurks. And at the same time, not quite able to make this retake happen just yet. I think they're opting for that save, but while you're going for that, Lightning Fast is trying to hunt you down. Wow, okay, that's John Wick behavior.
I mean, he's going deep. He's going on a solo mission, just pick up frags. He needs 2 more. If he gets 1 and dies, he still gets a Viper's Pit as well. It's not a bad shout.
Pick.
It's 1. I mean,
now,
eco damage already done.
Just falls back, allows for Polvi, who is on the Blade Storm, to go for a little bit more. Just now playing off of the teammate to check. They want to take those guns away. All right, now we've lost a plot. Let's
Yeah, we got mighty close to that lockdown here from Laz as well. But hey, damage done to the economy a little bit. Viper's Pit also picked up by Lightning Fast. I think you see it on his face, like, okay, maybe that was a little bit too much, right? Once we didn't get the counter peak, but you know, the teammates are there as well, and that's something they're going to notice with Global Esports, is that obviously his team, the comms are good. They're all players who are used to calling and sharing ideas, leading the team in one way or another. Lightning Fast enjoying the time on the stage. He talked about how he wanted to be part of the main roster. He wanted his chance on the stage consistently. The team has now put the trust in him to be that representative here for Global Esports, for South Asia. You're going to be part of the main roster. You're on stage every single time. How long can you help extend the tournament life in a setting like Kickoff?
I think he's going to extend it pretty well. I mean, off of this map, off of that performance from round 2 and so on and so forth, he is definitely showing us that he is back. Well, at the same time, though, for ZETA, I mean, this was their map pick. The start is not great. It just feels as though, although this is a different map, the ideas from the previous one definitely stay intact, and Global Esports are really trying to figure out how to play off of that pacing.
Yeah, I mean, this is Global Esports just getting a good read on the first couple rounds and ZETA's tendencies, right? They leave A side open, then they go for the retake. It's a pretty heavy flank coming out from B side. GE starting to get very well aware of that. Of course, the force buy helped kind of even out the rounds early on as well. So I like this timeout because now ZETA should have some other ideas in the works, and it's going to be a push out down 2.
Wow. Okay. That's something different. Bit of that Vandal play, but they gotta stay hidden well enough to make it happen. Global Esports maybe anticipating such a push as well, so just creeping up onto A site. The 0 point clears out the entire thing. Nobody's here. We get a free plant.
Yeah, now you know, okay, site's empty again. Surely it's another retake coming in from both sides of the site. Polvi, that did hurt a bit more than you wanted.
Still good for the time being. He manages to hold his position, and crucially, this angle on towards Rafters, because that's where Laz wants to be.
And ZETA, this time they're not flanking early, right? They're just putting that pressure in that this is what we always do. They're looking to go in with the main force.
Oh, trying to switch things around, but still holds his ground. Manages to gun down 2. A bit of a flank coming through, but not quite for long. Lightning Fast trades out depth. And then comes Uran from the front. Null command sussed out.
Crosshairலாம் எல்லாரும் பாருங்களேன் நல்லா இருக்கு இந்த crosshair நல்லா இருக்கு பரவாயில்ல பரவாயில்ல ஸ்பைக் யூஸ் பண்ணல
holding onto the rifle. It's Global Esports 4-2.
Yeah, and the KO utility coming in handy as well. Obviously, ZETA Division not able to activate their abilities for a long time. They had to fight through that retake. Couldn't set up for something like a Cove, stick the half, and pressure a little bit further against the attacking team. I mean, Polvi getting those first 2 kills as well. You love the energy from this team. I mean, surely they will continue to release some comms throughout the year, and it is great to listen. They've got such good energy across the board.
Two names really stand out right now, Lightning Fast and Pulvy. The snake bite, the opening frags. What more could you want? ZETA is able to catch up to it, and right now they're going to the roadblock up around pipes. Laz able to get the first one, but not for long until Heron arrives. Guns down with a bit of a lineup on towards Russ, and then picks up the third onto Lightning Fast.
அவங்க விளையாடுறத பாருங்க அந்த அந்த கிராஸரை ஹெட்டுக்கு கீழே இறக்க மாட்டாங்க பாருங்க.
Just trying to bounce around and draw all eyes on him. He dashes out and they just do not suspect yet another member like Huron hiding right around the corner.
Like 1 versus 3. 3 versus 1. Sova, inga Sova. Mudinch.
That's fourth kill as well for Huron. Climbing right back into the game. Hunter's Fury available for him to counter out and maybe push them back out in the next round too.
Now we can play retake. Still though.
This is just they got a sight of him, but at that point it was a little too late. He was so ready for it too. I mean, the first double kill, very good discipline.
Guys, hit the like button, guys.
Just a couple rounds during the off season as well. Very sharp shooting when he's in the zone.
Okay, 3-4.
ZETA as well. I mean,
ZETA 3, G4.
Sometimes, and maybe the answer was just to really get a good read for where Global would push out, and then to peek off against that. But here it comes now, off of those wins from before, Global picks up the operator. Pulvy is in a damn good position. Here's the Aldrin, wants to shoot it down. But nothing doing for the time being.
Yeah, ZETA heard the op too though, right? That's why they're not giving him the time of day. They just say, keep him trapped in mid. We've still got utility from Killjoy to get him from
அவங்க ஏல இருக்காங்க, இவங்க மிட்ல இருந்து ஏக் புஷ் பண்றாங்க போல.
Got the double controllers. The patience coming in handy, but problem being
இல்ல அவங்க ஹார்பர் வந்துட்டு பி, ஓவாவும் பிக்கு மிட். ஆக்சுவலா ஜி கிட்ட தான் ஸ்பைக் இருக்கு, ஸ்பைக் பிளான் பண்ணனும்.
They don't want to give out too much. And meanwhile, for Global Esports, they've managed to get openings before because they always put a bit of pressure, and with mental conditioning, they pull some of these defenses away. But this time, without the opening kick,
சைலண்டா இருக்காங்க.
they're going to take a little bit of time.
பிளான்டும் பண்ணல. டைம் இன்னும் 32. 30 seconds தான் இருக்கு.
You have enough time to rotate if you go now, but they're not going to.
இப்போ யாரனா ஒருத்தர் ரொட்டேட் பண்ணிடணும். வேற எதனா ஒரு சைடுக்கு. அதாவது போடு 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 போடு. போடு.
And guess what? The Reckoning committed to 13 seconds, and this has to be a save.
10 seconds left.
Just gotta make sure that you're keeping...
I'll take the orb, why not?
Yeah, keep that operator. There's that Blade Storm as well, because you're not looking too healthy. But a save, I mean, you got trapped in mid. And then at that point, this really comes down, I think, to ZETA also just saying, okay, we have no information, so instead of trying to creep back out, we have all these ultimates for the retake, right? You had the Reckoning, you had the Hunter's Fury. Let's actually group up and make sure we're not getting flanked at any point through mid. Multiple members watching different angles in mid. You've got Killjoy and Harvey Utility blocking off the main entrances. And then they say, as soon as the alarm bot rings, send the Reckoning. They don't have enough time, because if they're rotating, we still have still anchoring down on B. And Global, good timeout. It's trying to say, okay, this mid pressure, unless we get the first pick, it's not working. How else do we adapt from that?
Hence the timeout. So it's going to have to be a bit of a question for Coach Spin and Big Time. But apart from that, at the same, it's also ZETA division. I mean, it's just, I like their composition. It's one piece of utility, but the Reckoning does so much. And now with Laz's kills coming through, you're cycling through some ultimates. He's got another lockdown for a good retake or two. It's, it might be ZETA coming on the up and up.
Yeah, there's a reason this was the comp that started to really rise up once a couple of teams showed it off, you know, like the DRX, because it's basically the harbor for the stage, right? But now you have a little bit more flexibility. It's not just force to plant, then hold for post-plant lineups. You've got a little more of a different way to inch forward, take the map over piece by piece. And GE, they're the ones who are experimenting today. We'll see if they have finally figured out the answer, cracked the code enough to force a shift in the meta.
It would work better if, you know, maybe some of these initiators can open things up for Pulvy, because we are looking for Pulvy to get that opening pick. Still has the operator.
On the side of Sova, and the side of Sova initiator.
Okay. Recon doesn't find much, but it does bait out a bit of a cascade.
Good cascade, actually. So
Very
hard
deep.
to clear around that.
Don't want to push past it, so that's why they're holding so far back. And in the meantime, Zeta pushes out mid on their own. Doesn't find much though, but it is a good angle for Depp.
Yeah, I mean, Deb could stay, or yeah, they could back out, because that means GE, if they want any variation, they're going to have to take time to take over mid. And Zeta, they're actually just banking on the fact that this is going one way or another. The Recon's not going to find anything. Surely this gives the call. And Benkai as well. Surely this gives the call over to focus onto yellow.
Yeah, they're like, that's the lurker. We can rotate now. That's what they're doing. Snake bites out from Euron. A bit of a jiggle, and that's assist out Pole.
5 versus 4 முடிஞ்சு போடு check
Blaze King, Polvi, they are gunning down Zeta.
plan பண்ணியாச்சு
Manages to pick up
3 3 2 versus 3
The angle being held now by
1-1
Fury being committed, but the ultimate's not really well timed enough, and still aiming down
G
the
win.
sights. One shot through the engine block. Global Esports 5-4.
I mean, a great round coming out from GE. You bait out the first piece, couple pieces of utility, then you cut off
எனக்கு தெரிஞ்சு இந்த வாட்டி G win ஆயிடுவாங்கன்னு நினைக்கிறேன்.
as well. So it gets contact. You don't see it get broken right away. There's no further push, so you have to presume, of course, and then you hear the upshot as well that it's going to be the operator coming through. Still on the lurk on A. You're making sure that Zeta gets split up. It's a good read. Try to readjust to what Zeta's doing. So now, Zeta, a new look. It's going to be the stack onto A.
Yeah, the split is good. I also do feel like it's a little bit of like Euron and Huron maybe.
மிஸ் சேனல் லைவ் புதுசா பாத்தீங்கன்னா சப்ஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணுங்க இந்த லைக் பண்ணுங்க மிஸ்
And now Polvi feeling that much more confident. Depp trying to, cause a bit of mayhem, but it's not quite gonna happen.
started
I don't know if they can suspect Benkai here. They have some inkling. They heard Polvi drop, but that's why they're a little scared, because surely...
Ayyo.
Okay! Nice peek around out of the
எப்படி
nest.
போட்டானே தெரியல அவன் ஜெட்
Very quick, but now has to back off. Meanwhile, the rest of Global's forces are actually trying to suss out the positioning towards B. Toxic Screen gives them that much more space to work with.
And a good hold on that utility from Sugar Zero as well.
லிஃப்ட்ல இருக்காங்க
Wasn't going to get
பிளான்
any value.
பண்றாங்கன்னு
So just want
நினைக்கிறேன்
to make sure that you're able to have that for the retakes. Now that you know the site wasn't taken over, the high tide, just trying to slow things down.
Also with Huron and the angle around mid too, so does give them
Plan
a little
பண்ணியாச்சு.
more room to push up and kind of position themselves.
Oh.
on the side. Now that it's surrounded, now that it's a little bit more clear, Huron goes in for the quick peek, takes down Lightning fast.
And they're still aware of
4
Benkai
versus
as well. They haven't
2.
spotted this Killjoy.
Oh, Laz is watching too.
Yeah, they're waiting for it, but now they know they have the numbers advantage, trying to force the defuse.
Now it's spotted. Here comes Ben. Oh no. And Laz just turns around at the right time. Defuse comes in. Let's get it over to Huron.
Diffused.
We've got a 5-5.
2 more rounds to go.
சூப்பர்
On a
சூப்பர்
tightrope,
சூப்பர்
both these teams bouncing back and forth across the 2 maps. And quite frankly, neither of them looking dominant on their own map pick either. Of course, GE lost their pick of Bind. Had another double initiator comp on that first map. They brought it out here as well, just trying to change things up. But, I mean, are you cooking or are you just dawdling around in the kitchen? Because so far we're not finding the answer. I mean, it's hard. It's hard to shift metas, and a lot of times the frags have to follow up. Now, this time, I would say they're starting to fire up. Polvi leading the scoreboard in the server. But it's not enough just yet.
Always that challenge of like old and new ideas. Old spice or new spice? Still, Will is absolutely right. Polvi has been showing up, but we still need more to see that dominant lead. Because it isn't that dominant lead, both teams are actually adjusting to each other really well. And we're seeing how they play back and forth in terms of space. We still have Euron as well as Sugar Zero.
எல்லாரும் அந்த சைடு இருக்காங்க
Walls are doing
ஆனா எல்லாரும் பி சைடு தான் ரெண்டு டீம்மே
So much time right now. You still know that no one's pushed out.
ஜெட்
mid
போடு
or A, not too
போட்டுருங்க
far.
போட்டுருங்க 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 முடிஞ்சு ஆ ச்சே
Oh, still loses control.
ரைட்ல
So
ரைட்ல
bad.
ரைட்ல
They
ரைட்ல
don't
பார்க்கல
control Snowman. Either you plant the lurk there,
4 versus 4
or you try to force your way all the way around the pit. But now, Depp
சூப்பர் சூப்பர் ப்ரோ
Yeah,
சூப்பர்
Depp always holding his own out towards the A side, especially with that operator. But the other thing is also just Euron and that Viper's pit. It covers up just enough that he can actually peek out and take down whoever peeked out Snowman.
30
I think
seconds
that's
left.
kind of the idea. And now with that space, Dev repositions, tries to land the shot. Not quite connecting though. This might allow for Global Esports to get that spike down.
And both teams are so aware of the potential lurks as well. I mean, they've kind of bitten each other in the back a couple times in this first half.
Wow.
But now it's just the main force pushing through.
You get a little bit paranoid, but now
4 versus 2.
watch the front.
Super.
Lightning Fast definitely does.
Ah,
That
shit.
jitter peak, but it doesn't quite work out. Last that much more decisive, just goes in for the shot. Now they're aware that Blaze King is up on top of Belt. Good peek though, but not quite enough to gun down the second target.
ZETA 6, G5.
Goes up ahead.
Yeah, and it was Laz holding that defuse from the box as well. So Blaze King.
ZETA division. ZETA full form. G க்கு Global Esports.
Into the top of the
Team oda
It's just the beanie from Killjoy showing up.
Just a peony.
like ZETA division வந்து மொத்த பேரும் ஜாப்பனீஸ். Okay. Global Esports வந்துட்டு ஒரு இந்தியா, like ஒரு UK, ஒரு இந்தோனேஷியா, ஒரு ஃபின்லாண்ட், ஒரு சிங்கப்பூர். ஓகேவா?
Over the top of some obstacles or some ponytails. Nah, not really.
இந்தியாவோட பிளேயர் நேம் வந்துட்டு லைட்னிங் ஃபாஸ்ட்.
Again, it's just how they play back and forth in terms of space. Global tries to pull some of the attention away onto the other parts of the map, trying to divide ZETA. But ZETA stays united. And back into the A site. A sudden change in pace. A quick execute off of the null command. Russ picks up his value. Polvi now with that space goes in and finds another frag. This is Polvi not just creating space, he is actually fragging out. Oh no! But
பாடா ஸ்பை
second.
போச்சு.
The comms just break down. The cloud comes out, but now of course.
விஜயோட அல்ட் யூஸ் ஆயிடுச்சு.
Okay, it allows for Benkai to go a little bit greedy. Picks up one, knows to pull back.
ஆக்சுவலா ஒரே ஷாட் தான் ஹெட் ஷாட்.
How do you retake ZETA?
Cove and double cascade.
சூப்பர் கைஸ், சூப்பர் கைஸ், சூப்பர் கைஸ்.
Now you got double structure and nano swarm as well, but GE not backing out.
Oh, they're not using util. Setting up a bit of a crossfire between 410 and the boxes. They know where Laz is. Here comes that
Well, they're for
Cove.
Blaze King.
And he's so good on these timed peaks. Benkai off of it as well.
Ah,
Just to
6
watch
6
the
6.
We tie things up 6-6 at the end of the half.
Yeah, the nano swarm already being there, a nice piece of utility that gets them that passive info if they do shoot it. He shoots it, and Blaze King actually moves around the box. He knows when's on the spike, but instead of saying, I'm going to peek, try to get him right as he goes for the tab, he just says, okay, surely it's a fake, because if not, I've got my teammate Benkai able to swing out on a timing on the 4 seconds, hides away, sees the Cove come back up, and then he walks right back in. Blaze King, this is why he gets a lot of those clutches that he's always had in SEA.
Exactly on Boom Esports. Now on Global Esports, showing us what he's capable of. A lot of Indonesian talents in VCT Pacific, and Blaze King is just one of them. I mean, he's definitely earned his spot, and it always shows true in a lot of these like tiny micro decision-making moments. Knowing to push whenever the spike is tapped. And sometimes, it's also a bit of confidence. It makes you think like, yeah, a bit of hesitation from Polvi or with a Cloudburst and wanting to pick up his fallen teammate Russ. But Blaze King and Benkai brought things back.
Yeah. Now, with the double initiator composition for Global Esports, how do they want to play that defense? Another map like mine where there's a lot of post-plant utility lineups, a lot of those types of plays. So at some point you're going to want to at least
வெல்கம் கைஸ். ரெண்டு பேருமே 6 6ல இருக்கானுங்க.
way back. But the problem
6 6 ரெண்டு பேருமே இருக்காங்க. ஓகேங்களா?
Unless you're getting some sort of contact or really just closing the map into half, that utility just it doesn't feel like it's bringing home as much value. So
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious what they're going to do. Obviously in the pistol, it's going to be a stack.
The other thing is also just that they might not push out all too much because it's the 0 point and the recon vault. They can just sit back and, let the utility gather a bit more information from him and then try to, make guesses off of that. Obviously not the safest. But
Sure. So, but that's my point, right? Is that you can sit back, but then your retake, if you go for all the flashes, they just hang back, and then you just got to deal with the post plant. So it's this rock paper scissors, but Blaze King still on fire from the first half.
Definitely throwing a rock on that first one. Here comes Hiroron up towards screens, and ZETA has found their opening.
Oh, shit.
Blaze King turns back around because of depth, and that is that double kill that gives them the sight. Lightning Fast tries to wrap back around, checks in, but doesn't expect Laz up by the window. Man, that new spot up by Icebox is just showing us so much today.
Yeah, we're seeing a couple good looks around it. I think teams around the world starting to show us there's multiple ways to work that. Obviously, the pure threat that you can watch it from Boiler makes it a little harder to dig deep on the attacker side, but then you can still hold from under the window on different angles. There's a lot of ways you can use that to just plant, the seed of doubt into the opponent into the future rounds.
Okay?
Especially
Right
for
there.
attacking teams too, I think. It's just another additional angle. Makes you think about the defensive side, like whether or not you want to invest a player to watch that spot. On the other hand, though, right now, with the buys, no force from Global. In fact, they're just kind of playing these unorthodox, really close-range positions. They heard something and they peeked out, and it lines up for Deb. The stack gets knocked down. Sugar Zero, heroed on, picking up more kills. It's all down again to Benkai.
It's an eco. You do what you have to do. Those are the plays that either it turns into greatness or you get lined up.
But I don't know, like maybe you just don't peek or like hide or.
Well, you have to go for a timing, right? Because
Yeah.
I think if you're waiting, unless you have like all Buckies and such, they're gonna check. There's no way, right?
course.
And I mean, sometimes some teams don't, and they pay for it. But I don't mind the peek. Here's the thing: you're not supposed to win that round, so you have to throw. If you're going to commit to something like a stack like that, you got to throw a curveball. You got to go for the wild card. And yeah, it looks silly, but sometimes it looks genius. And there's a fine line. There's a fine line, but it's not a round you were supposed to win. So I think those are the times where I don't mind it. You let it pass. Now you got your rifles in hand. These are where GE can start to showcase what do their defaults look like. It's going to be the two initiators on one side, the Killjoy and Viper on the other side of the map to anchor.
When you're right, Will. And here comes Polvi. Oh, instant pick off and backs off with the tailwind.
I mean, you already have the numbers advantage. Got control of mid as well.
Might as well let them trickle in, right? Blaze King hearing the footsteps, gets the timing on the peak. Sugar Zero continuing to push up front, manages to catch the Russ, but how long can that really work out until Euron? What is the... I can't see that. We managed to find shots with the Guardian of all things. Here come the rest of the players from Raptors though, and they are still peeking a little bit too fast, a little bit too much. It allows for Euron to pick up yet another double. 2 + 2, that equals 4.
A great 4K, and you see him slowly getting that energy up.
Quick max.
Yeah, on the stage. I'll leave that up to you. Not going to do any of my own maths here. But a great round from Uran. Oh, Depp smiling as well.
Wait,
we often see him just kind of being zoned in no matter what. But the vibes on Zeta are good.
Oh.
I mean, it's just a wraparound from both teams, right? And that's good movement from Uran because you note that GE is trying to play around your double controllers. They're trying to find the timings into your smokes. So then Uran says, well, I got to counteract that by continuing to take over space. Once you back up, if you've already gone for your execute and then you stop the momentum, you lose control over the entire site. You have to come in at that point, and it's good that he goes for it. Maybe the taunt was an overheat. We'll find out after this timeout.
Hopefully. But it's also like kind of nice to see, I mean not last, but Zeta Division taunting a little.
No, it's great. It's great. I mean, I don't think it also wasn't anything too crazy. I like that he's riding the momentum. Both sides, the coaching staff racking their brains. And a map like Icebox, I think it's very difficult for coaches to really pinpoint, how to adapt.
Because it's always that push and pull. Again, you pull on one side, another side gets a little bit more open, and sometimes that's an opening for Global. But at least for this round, we can say with absolute certainty it should be Zeta's pickup. So the timeout being called, invested into future rounds.
Yeah, and GE, they have enough creds on Polvi to go for that operator in the next round as well. So that's something they're going for, right? Even if it's the half armor. Once you get that operator, things get a little easier.
It makes you think, right? Is this Marshall position up on top of yellow something that they want to condition Zeta into thinking? But the shot was already picked off, and the cascade just gives Zeta that much more security.
He's trying to just get one hit.
Whoa.
All right, just a quick reaction to that recon.
Yeah, they're trying to push off of it, distract him. Enough investment, they pulled the rotations over. Laz might have heard or sensed it.
Well, this is just good timing from Laz, right? Is that you can at least secure that you'll be ready for the execute.
Oh, Ben.
And if they already did shift over It's not like they're going to have time to flood the site without checking everything.
And they really got nothing.
But you can't move from GE's position. I mean, I don't blame GE. This is just Laz making a great call from Zeta, right? You saw them marching, you saw them back up, you saw him shoot out the recon, which tells you that they want to hide information, they want to try to stay on the B
30
site.
seconds left.
G கொஞ்சம் panic ஆயிடுறாங்க.
That's exactly what I mean. Everything orchestrated perfectly to the mastermind of Carlisle or Junior or Laz. The call from it, Huron with the timing on the poison cloud towards mid as well, so that Benkai doesn't see anything on the crossing. And they managed to cut noise just enough to clear out the entire site. Now, a full pistol plus one Marshall retake, it is near impossible, virtually impossible for Global Esports to win. Well, even with the Reckoning too? We really want double digits, don't we?
Yeah, you have the lead. I don't mind this at all. Sure, it can seem a little crazy, but this is also a different Zeta division. Continue the lead when you can. We've seen so many teams in Pacific last year that try to save it for the match point, save it for the grand win, and it just never happens. So why not just extend that lead just a bit further?
So decisive. This, again, I gotta say it, brand new Zeta division. Global Esports dying to get that round loss bonus, but it does, again, extend that gap. 4-round differential. How do we claw our way back into this? Those timeouts have been spent.
Well, Operator is going to be surely the biggest factor, and it does look like it's going to be a B hold. Whether it's on top or below, that's up to him. And I don't think Zeta is going to be too concerned one way or the other. You're going to have to check that entire lane if you want to put any pressure. The thing Zeta did in the past round, though, is that while it's smart and it's a good round to do it, they plant that threat of the flank, right? The rotate late. So now GE always has to have someone anchoring if they want to go for a stack mid-round.
Well, a bit of a guessing game this time. Zeta not able to retrieve all too much.
This is I mean, it's a great angle to hold on that far angle, but if they're coming out of garage, yeah, that flick is not an easy one. So Polvi's really playing for maximum contact and maximum info.
I don't know if Zeta's going to push all too deep into B yet, though. They're kind of guessing as to the previous rotations, the previous positions that Global Esports held. So without finding all too much this time, they're kind of assuming and setting up for that execute into A. I don't know if it's the wisest decision.
Yeah, the high tide doesn't cover all of rafters. They have to be aware of that.
Okay, well, the frag's still just as good. Huron just walks up and takes down Russ. Lightning Fast answers back, though. But look at the positioning from Depp. He's already making it up on top of screens. And with that, Sugar Zero conceals the plant, gets it through. A bit of a wall bang. Doesn't quite connect, but Huron's still just as good on the Guardian. Similar to Huron from before.
Surely you save. I mean, it feels bad, but yeah, but it feels bad, but you need this op to make anything happen in the future rounds.
Oh, he's going for it. Doesn't know the angle from below. Leg spotted. Okay, now we save.
I mean, I think if you're Zeta, you chase. You got so many creds. Trap him in.
Polvi tried to pull a sneaky.
I mean, this is a Zeta who is on the hunt. They are out for blood. They find the shot. Huron's already here. Oh, he heard him.
No.
Well, he was ready for it, but he just wants to run away. He just wants to buy time.
Nah, okay, he's managed to run away.
The greatest escape.
Whew.
Well, will it lead to anything? It's the one ray of hope
6-11
that G has now.
I mean, do you push out with it, or?
It's an option, but I think it's an obvious one. And I think there's got to be some sort of stack, some sort of push out, because, I mean, if it's just there. Okay, they will just buy up with half armors as well. So the operator's still there. So that just means you're still able to hold this one angle. You are going to push out onto pipes under, actually, an over-under setup here with Russ. And at a certain point, surely you shift the weight. Very greedy from GE with Lightning Fast pushed up this far.
Oh.
No one's going to watch this back.
Just hold the angle, maybe.
But he has no escape. He's going to get one. He gets the spike at the very least.
Good heads-up duel, good information. The rotation's coming through, but Zeta being able to anticipate these movements is just so good. And now with that spike goes down, Blaze King tries to hold it off with the shock darts. But out in the open, gets caught out by Deb, who I will not mention with the Blaze Storm. Moving forward now, still, The retake's underway. You've got mid. You've got not Snowman any longer. Just mid. Benkai tries to open things up. The Viper's Pit committed to secure match point. Do you still go through or do you save? I mean, so much to consider.
It's this or match point. No matter what, you're not going to have a great round the next one, but you're not finding the early picks. It's just not doable anymore.
Colby's gonna do the same thing, trying to hold on to this operator. Zeta can definitely chase.
He should be all right. Should have it going off here soon. So the operator stays alive, and Benkai sacrifices himself for a shot at that lockdown, and he'll fill it up. But now, you bought up those rifles. Obviously, you had to, because otherwise it's a guaranteed match point. But it's not looking like a great round. You have the lockdown. I mean, as obvious as it can be, yeah, maybe a push out with the operator, go for a lockdown retake.
I think that's the thing. I mean, with the operator, if you're playing defensively and you don't find contact, it just kind of becomes diminishing returns. Right?
Oh, they had just enough.
Rounds now.
Yeah, they had just enough to sacrifice.
Final last round.
Just go for the half armors. You got the Hunter's Fury too.
முடிஞ்சு
Push through, get
Instagram.
go, and then fall back, set up for the retake. It's a bit risky, a little bit gambly. Rush tries to stay a second longer to find that tag, but not quite able to make it happen. Zeta very controlled. Getting pinged and then just holding back for a second. Laz now watching mid for any crosses. This is Zeta on a whole new look, whole new level.
Laz is on the move. Lightning Fast heard him. Gets him on the flank as well.
Good pickup, and then depth to come back in. The spike is down. They know they're good. Everyone's in position, not to mention Uran, who is holding such an angle. But good swing off of the recon. Blaze King and Russ managed to shoot them down. Russ trying to dance back and forth.
Wow,
Spike's
super.
not being defused and held.
No, put
Able to hold it all the way through. Manages to make use of that space from Russ and Blaze King.
Okay, so you get the round, but at what cost? Dropping all the weapons all the way to the end.
Did you buy up on the...
Oh. I mean, you have to buy whatever you can every single round now, but...
I mean, you can't afford a full buy. Is what
no, you can't. I mean, because you
Fast
bought
round G நல்லா விளையாண்டாங்க.
armor with full rifles. Now, sure, they'll get Bulldogs and Guardians, but it's one shock dart, no fragment on Russ. Some very crucial things that they would want on a retake.
Well, you do have the null command and the Viper's Pit, but how long can you really extend this map? That is the question. 12-7 right now. All Zeta needs is 1. And they are looking mighty decisive. Depp 1 point away from the Blaze Storm. Goes in to take that space up around yellow. Timing peak off of the recon. Clears out the early half of the site.
So Pulvy's aware that a lurk is still on the A site. It's either him or Lightning Fast that can hold that. Pulvy's gonna leave it up to his teammate, regroup on B.
Shock darts to clear out utility or just to fend them off.
Oh, Pulvy was ready for it.
Laz wanted to make it happen though. If he did, then there may have been some rotations. But here comes Pulvy and Lightning Fast now.
I don't know if
ஒரு
suspects this is gonna be a double.
plan வந்துட்டு plan B ல plan பண்ற
I
மாதிரி
don't
தான்.
mind it. Doesn't great
ZETA.
for the kill. But that means they're trapped in B.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Defense knows.
They have to push up front. And as long as Russ, Benkai, and Blaze King can defend B well enough, they're going to run out of time. The pressure is on. And off of the cascade, they push
Super,
up.
super.
How do they make it happen?
பா
3 players down. Depth now coming through.
முடிஞ்சு அவ்வளவுதான் win ஆகணும்.
And a Russ
4 versus 2
is running out
plan
of
பண்ணியாச்சு.
juice. Finds the angle, finds the shot, but oh god, Blaze Storm now propped up. That's a tough target to hit. Okay. Just a bit
முடிஞ்சு
here
அவ்வளவுதான்
and there,
சூப்பர்.
and then you're on to secure that final nail in the coffin. 13-7. Zeta Division clears this out 2-0.
One of the teams that just did not budge to make a roster move for so long. but they start the first chapter of a story about building up talent in your own region throughout your own academy.
ZETA division da win.
I mean, today
Super.
was the story of Uran and Huron. They topped the board on this map as well, but both of them performing quite well throughout this entire series. We all knew, okay, firepower upgrade for sure, but are they ready for
GG
Tier 1
guys, GG guys,
advancement?
GG, GG, GG.
Why do you think we put them on our academy roster to begin with?
Yeah, chat. Why do you think? And this map just says it all. You saw it a little bit on Bind, but this one even more so because Yuran and Hiroran just absolutely held down their own on sites. When they pushed, they did so much. Not to mention Def and Lazlo, who are still firing off.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that now they're a little bit eased up. They don't have to hard carry every single map, and that's what a lot of people that have been cheering for this Japanese squad have hoped for. A great first showing. Still a long way to go, but quite a convincing one for ZETA Division.
Man, pressure not that hard. This is the new relaxed, loose, more aggressive ZETA, and it feels good. Meanwhile, for Global Esports, I mean, I still gotta say, right? Polvi, lightning fast, new pickups, new players being put in, and they can perform as well.
Yeah, I mean, lightning fast, he wanted that spot onto the main roster. He got it. He had some good moments. You call that Polvi as well. I would say Russ, actually, in the first map, quite a few good shots, but they'll have to wait for another day. Now it's time for an interview with our winners.
Our first winner for day 2 VCT Pacific Kickoff goes to ZETA Division! Make some noise, people! Yes, congratulations, lad. It's good to see you back. 네, 오늘의 우승, 데이 2 첫 번째 우승은 제타 디비전이 가져가게 됐습니다. 라즈 선수 만나보겠습니다. So, Laz, you've been picked as a key player from the coach right before the match started, so you definitely proved it today. So I want to ask you, what was your most satisfying move for today's game?
今日の、やった中の動きで一番自分的に納得感が高いものみたいなものって何がありますか？
そうですね、個人的というよりはやっぱチームとしてになるんですけど、全体で、うまく動けて連携も取れて、で相手に対してしっかり対策というか、そのなんていうんだろう、対応する戦い方をうまくきれいに支えたっていうのはすごい良かったなと思ってます。
It's more of a team movement kind of way, but we were able to sort of connect with each other, make movements, and work towards what the opponent is doing to us. So we were able to do a lot of teamwork, show a lot more teamwork with the new members, and it was really great.
네, 개인적인 전략보다는 팀워크가 정말 돋보였던 게임이었던 것 같은데요. 팀 내에서 서로 많은 협력과 함께 대화도 잘 통하고 그래서 이 게임의 승리를 이끌어낸 것 같다고 말했습니다. So I'm seeing new players, new vibe, and new strategies also. So how was your teamwork in specifically to the details? How was your teamwork specifically in today's match?
新しいメンバーの2名が入って、特に今日、どういった面でその連携が取れたなっていう感じるところがありました。
細かいコミュニケーションもうまいし、その意図が通りやすい、意図をすぐに共有できるっていうのも強みですし、あと少人数戦の打ち合いの強さが光ったなと思ってます。
So the new members, we were able to communicate a lot more in detail, and it's easier with the new members, and it works really well to sort of communicate what we're actually thinking, and they understand what we're trying to tell them a lot more. And especially the new kids are really strong when we're shooting each other in small numbers, so they're really good in close fights, and it was really good.
개인적으로도 이 두 선수가 보이는 전략이 매우 강하고 전 팀보다 좀 더 소통이 아주 활발하고 더 이야기가 많이 되고 있어서 조금 더 쉽게 게임이 풀리지 않았나 싶다고 답을 했는데요. 그러면 또 이번에 또 새로운 전략을 봤어요. 좀 차분했던 제타 디비전이 이번에는 좀 기다릴 땐 기다리고 아주 매서울 땐 또 매서운 전략을 가져갔거든요. 어떠한 변화가 있었는지 알아보겠습니다. We're seeing like new strats, you being more aggressive, also controlling the pace of the whole team. So what changes are going on your team?
今までにない作戦だったり動きみたいなのがたくさん見れたかなと思うんですけど、チーム内でどんな感じでの、作戦だったり練習が行われているんですか？
そうですね、カルラウコーチが知識を持ってきてくれたり、あとはアイスボックスのリワーク入ったりして、どう戦ってくるか分かんないっていうところで、どのチームがどう戦ってくるか分かんないっていうのもがあるので、 まあ、自分たちでいろいろ試しながら、まあ、強い戦い方っていうのを見つけて、まあ、この本番でうまく出せたなっていう感じですかね。
So because we have a new coach, Carlisle, he takes a lot of, he brought a lot of new insight to our team, and as well, especially for Icebox, we've got Yuran doing moves that we haven't had before, and because in the situation right now, we don't know what other teams are doing at the moment because we've got no stats, but we were able to sort of figure out how to be strong on our own and figure out a way that we could become stronger without relying on the data that we don't have yet.
네, 아직 팀에 이제 막 시작 경기인 만큼 많은 정보가 없어서 조금 더 차분하면은 거기에서 나오는 것 같고, 또 코치님이 새로 오시면서 팀 내에서 많은 영감을 주고 있기 때문에 전략도 새롭게.
Okay guys, next match பார்க்கலாம். Next match 1:30 க்கு. Next match யாருக்கு பார்த்தீங்கன்னா Team Secret vs Talon Eco Sports. ஓகேங்களா?
네, 이제 인터뷰에
Okay guys, வீடியோ பிடிச்சிருந்தா லைக் பண்ணுங்க, ஷேர் பண்ணுங்க, சப்ஸ்கிரைப் பண்ணுங்க. Bye.